Okay, hi everybody. Bonkai 922. Now, Bleach is gonna come up soon. Bleach. Not now though. Finally! Well, it wasn't that long ago. It was, I think it was like two or 3 days ago. Crunchyroll finally put up the Attack on Titan chapter. So, I read it. Majority of it. And it's pretty much the same, give or take. A few. And this is chapter 59 of Attack on Titan. I believe this was called Monster something? Let me go check to make sure. Because I believe it was Monster something. Yeah, Monster's Soul. Now, pretty much what happens in this chapter is we have anyway, we have the beginning part where we have that guy who's pretty much the head of the military police. And he's been questioned about what happened there with those guys, with the 3D maneuverability gear they were using. And they were talking to him, the reporters and everything, and then they mentioned, oh yeah, what was the involvement? And he's like, don't put that in the paper. And then he goes over to the side and he says, I can't believe they made it. And so so we see that's the beginning part of the chapter. But the thing about this chapter was I got Hezuma. He messaged me and he's like, "Oh shit, Bonkai, it's epic." So I'm like, "What's epic about?" So he meant Armin. I must say, Armin. What he was talking about was that, if you remember last week, the last chapter that came out, Armin, he was in the wagon with Jean, and this one who was the one that was chasing them had the guns at Jean. Well, in this chapter, Armin, well, he let it have her, shot her head. Like headshot, kind of thing. And it was kind of an interesting scene because you don't see the scene until you don't see the scene first. The first thing you see is you see Armin in the forest. In the forest, and he's against a tree, and he's throwing up. It was so awkward. But he's throwing up, and Mikasa's there, trying to help him and everything. And then we see, after that, it's just basically, he says, he's, drooling his eyes in his mouth and shit. I was like, yo. And he's like, did this happen to you, Mikasa? And we see what he did, and pretty much it was a headshot. Yeah. And it wasn't really a headshot. The way he was holding his gun was like this. Yo, motherfucker! Like he was in a gang or something. I was like, oh my god. And then I went, just shits and giggles. I'm gonna, in the comments, in the description box, I'm going to shout out 2 people in this review. First of all, I have to shout out people. Go subscribe to this guy. If you're not subscribed to this guy, what's the matter with you? You must be, living under a rock. Go subscribe to Oni Mihawk. Go subscribe to him. And go watch his video. Attack on Plagiarism. Yeah! Go subscribe to him. The other guy I want you guys to subscribe to, go subscribe to A.G. Nesbitt. Yo, the video he uploaded was amazing. It was Armin with audio from Walter White. I'm the one who knocks. Like, he must have uploaded that because of this chapter, and he was holding his gun like this, like he's part of the he's in a crew, and he's like this. Yeah, I'm Armin. Yeah. You better not come this way. No, sirree. I'll fuck your shit up. That's what it felt like. So, he does that. It wasn't really like a complete headshot. It was just like, it grazed the woman's back head, I guess you could say. And then, you know, basically they head out. And then, he doesn't have an appetite. And he's saying that, I thought it'd be too late. She already had a gun pointed at you. So I can't stop wondering, how was I able to shoot her? And Jean mentioned, well, Jean doesn't say it, it's Levy. He says, because she hesitated for a moment. And she says, that woman I killed must have been a kind person. She must have been much more human than me. But I was able to pull the trigger right away. And then Levy, what he says, it's understandable. It really is. It's understandable. Like, he basically says, if it wasn't for you, in a nutshell, if it wasn't for you, Jean would be dead. We'd all be dead. Like, you can't go back. You have to basically embrace what you are now. Because you killed someone. And he basically states to Jean, you know, you were half-hearted. You weren't, you know, this is basically, you know, you give or take war. And he was just basically telling him, next time, step on your A game. And so on and so forth. And also Jean says to himself, well, to Levy, like, I thought you were wrong. But it appears that I was the one wrong. He says that. And then after that, and saying that, oh, I'm not telling you, and also Levy says, you know, I certainly don't know were you really wrong. And then we get an interesting segue. We see the two military police members who were, well, one who lived with Annie, and one who was kind of with them. And they're basically patrolling. They're talking about what happened with the whole Survey Corps and them destroying the battle, you know, with the Titan and destroying Stos, and so on and so forth. And they encounter Armin and telling him to stay quiet and don't move. And he's like, that's right, slowly give your guns to him, just stay silent. So they basically jumped them. Levy and the gang. He's got a hat. He twigs coming out of his head. I was like, what the fuck is that about? They jump him. Take them as hostages. And you know, he basically is saying, Levy, to himself, we need to put them in a showdown. We'll have to infiltrate the military police brigade in order to look for Aaron. And so on and so forth. And we find out their names, Marlowe and Hitch. Marlowe Sand and Hitch Drace. And it's like, Marlowe and Hitch, as for you. And this kind of thing was kind of, this was the kind of what the fuck I thought. Levy, Hitch, she starts like, it was your fault that you did this to the town, and all this other bullshit. And all Levy has to do is say, Annie's the Titan. And they just shut the fuck up. They're like, they start freaking out. So, when they say that, she's being held right now. It makes me sick. We're all in the dark when it comes to how this world works. We'll keep you tied up until we leave, and so on and so forth. And then this guy, Marlowe, says, Captain Levy, did you really kill Reeves' company? And so on and so forth. Marlowe starts saying, let me help you. I will do anything it takes to get right the wrongs of this world, so on and so forth. If you want, I could find the Interior Brigade. Let me do it, blah, blah, blah. And then Levy's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Jean then looks at him and is like, this kid, he reminds me of him. He seems like an honest blockhead. Now, when I first read that, I thought, Marco. But then I was like, wait, no. That doesn't make any sense. In Gene's eyes, this guy reminds him of Aaron. That's what he reminds him of. And this was an interesting segue when this kind of thing happened, because what basically happens is they end up taking them and taking them away, walking with them, and that's the rain outside. And there's a conversation between Gene and Marlowe. This exchange with Gene. He's got a knife and he's gonna kill Marlowe, and he's basically saying what does he say specifically? He says, Gene says, "Let me handle this. Sure, you're just trying to move. One move and I'll take this knife into your gut, and so on and so forth. Gonna die here." And then basically, what happens is there's a tussle between Gene and Marlowe. And he tells Hitch to run, and it's like, I think Gene grabs his knife and his gun, and he's pointing it to you, and he's saying, it's like, which one's faster? You're dead unless you act. Are you just waiting until I fire? And Marlowe's saying, wait, I swear I'm on your side. There's no need for us to fight. And basically, it ends up being that Gene had this tussle with Marlowe, with an exchange of fighting with knives and guns and all this shit, because he was testing him. If he truly is part on their side, and so on and so forth. And basically Marlowe says, I joined the rotten MPs to clean the brigade up, but I made the wrong choice. As long as the Survey Corps keeps fighting with their lives at stake, I'll trust you. And he's like, and then it's him. She calls him a horse-faced freak. And he's like, and then basically saying to him, why do you trust me so much? Because you reminded me of a kid I hate, that blockhead. And then, towards the end, he says, oh, it'll be enough to convince Captain Levy to lend us your strength. So they end up helping them get into the brigade headquarters of the military police. And I think Levy says, thanks to those two and to Eugene, we'll be able to do it. This time we strike first. Trying to get to that other page. 45. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much the end of the chapter during that regard. And so what it looks like is they're going into this place. They're going to try to get Aaron and Historia back. Now, overall, I give this a 4 out of 5. I would give higher. But I mean, really, the focus on this chapter was Gene and Armin. And what The thing about Armin doing what he did, I thought it was awesome. I mean, give or take. Shows you that he obviously isn't used to doing things like that, because more of the time he just thinks and strategizes. So for him to go out his way and just go like this, hold a gun like that is just, that was so absurd. It's like this. Like, it's out of character, but it was still badass when he did that. I was actually like, whoa. Got a badass over here. But I thought that was interesting. And Gene, for Gene, I found it interesting that he went in to test this guy, Marlowe, and to say, hey. He reminded him so much of Eren that he actually went out of his way, Gene, to test him, to say, lend us your strength, so on and so forth. So, pretty good chapter. 4 out of 5. Looks like, you know, and I know Brez Boy's going to comment on this video, attack on kidnap! Listen, man. Listen. Okay. Eren couldn't get hard. He couldn't get hard, so that's what happens. Yes, I went there. But, good chapter. 4 out of 5. We'll see what happens next month. Should be interesting. I'm Bonkai922. Also, you better watch out for Art, because he is the one who knocks. He is. He's the one who knocks, and he'll fuck you up. I'll see you guys later. Peace.